What is coming?
We should be live, but let's just give it the usual technical check. Yeah, I think even audio is working actually this time, on YouTube at least, which is very surprising.
I'm still opening the things, but yeah, let me just give me a second. I will just share all of these things, and we can get into it. So, Jesus fucking Christ. Boom, 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 boom.
It just, guys, give us another 35 seconds or so.
Yes, sorry, I'm just fucking got a brain fart here. 1 second.
Holding Ethereum dust, you motherfucker.
Yeah, let me just share these things and we can get into it. Yeah, I just got stuck. Okay. Hi everyone. How is everyone doing? Hope you are doing well. If you don't, that's your problem, not mine. And we can get into the swing of things. So, hi guys, welcome to the next stream. As always, the streams are sponsored by BonkBot. BonkBot is finally launching their trading terminal, which is something that we actually are going to show you, I think, as well towards the later part of the stream. So if you are going to use our link, which I just shared, you are going to get an early access to the terminal, and you are going to also get a 10% of your fees back. So if you want to go do some of the trench things, and yeah, I think we had a demo with the BonkBot guys a couple days ago. It's really cool. Even a retarded centralized exchange people like us could find it pretty cool, because it's, like I said, we will show you towards the end, but it's one of those kind of centralized exchange experience since when it comes to actual trading, which is pretty cool and definitely nice. So
I just want to clarify, it's still a waitlist, but you get like earlier access with the link to the waitlist.
yeah, that's true. So with that being said, let's talk about some things. We're gonna start with Bitcoin, I think, and ETH, which are probably two main things. And gonna go through some of the other things that happened this week and so on and so forth. So BTC has been doing its classic nothingness for the last couple of, I would say, days, weeks. We obviously had this push to real-time highs, came back kind of sideways-ish now, around this 105K area. For me, I think it's very simple. I shared this bunch of times, and I don't want to repeat myself too much. We obviously had it's a new month, and I like these monthly candles and kind of look at these things. We just had a new monthly candle for those of you that are not watching calendars. But we had this kind of a failure at the all-time high a little bit. We tried to make the new highs, or like we traded above the all-time highs on the monthly candle and kind of closed underneath that. It's not the best sign, obviously. If we can, I hate the kind of the fractal stuff and all of these things. Right, but if you look at 2021, obviously, different uh, kind of a whole layout from fundamental point of view and everything. But we had a similar situation when BTC made all-time highs in kind of April. Then we sold off for summer, and towards the end of the year in 21, October, November, we basically tried to break the all-time highs again and then die down completely from there. Now it's a little bit on speed. Uh, we kind of revisited this all-time high just within like 5 months. So last time, it was a little bit longer, but nonetheless, we have this little bit of a failure at the highs. Um, I am My kind of point of view on Bitcoin at the moment is that I am more than happy to be long. I was kind of getting long exposure around the 80K. I think Bitcoin from a bunch of different indicators is looking pretty good still from the things that I'm looking at least. But at the same, it's not like screaming to me that it's being kind of a very overvalued or overextended and all of these things. But at the same time, there is this kind of some of the top signals, with what's been going on with Trump and all the kind of fundamental situations around that. We have the Circle IPO and some of these things that sometimes you have in like a hindsight. You look at things in hindsight of Trump, shilling. I don't even know what it was yesterday or a couple days ago. The news, but
You mean the wallet thingy?
yeah, like you have all these like things which are kind of like you just look at it and be like, probably not the best sign. But yeah, so I'm kind of aware of some of these signals, but at the same time, like I said, we have very resilient move up, very kind of strong move up in April. This is market in my opinion is still in like a structural uptrend from these lows, so I am more leaning towards looking to buy the dips. I think very obvious level, which is always kind of sus, but the 100K area, in my opinion, it's a kind of a support. There is some like high time frame moving average, I think like daily 50-day moving average or something like that. We didn't really have, like, if you look at like a weekly time frame, if you look, you will see that in the last 3 weeks basically we did not even trade it underneath the prior week low. Obviously we don't have to, but at the same time, usually when you have like this, like a build up of positions, like this is kind of the thing where everyone is like, yeah, we're never gonna get a pullback, we're never gonna get pullback, we're just going to stay sidelined, waiting for the dip. Usually this is something that I tend to see a lot in the last few days. This is when usually you actually going to get that dip. So for me, I would be very happy to get into any kind of leverage positions underneath 100K. This is where I personally feel like there is the best kind of risk reward ratio for me to look for longs. Yeah, in these current prices, I'm not really that interested in fucking around much. At the moment, to be quite fair. So very simple for me. I just have some limit orders, some alerts set underneath the current price. If we start rallying, if you start rallying from here, yeah, I would probably have to just kind of reevaluate um, the whole trading plan. But right now it's rather simple. I'm just chilling. I was actually able to get into some shorts last week, I believe, when
How
we
dare you?
basically had when we had that like Monday, Tuesday last week, when we kind of tested the prior all-time high and showed some weakness there. I got out from those positions into the weekend. So yeah, now I'm just kind of chilling. I think, like I said, 100K for
Sidelined?
me, sideline basically. Yeah, so that's it for me. Very simple and straightforward right now. I'm not really in rush. I'm just panicking because I don't have enough Ethereum exposure, basically.
Yeah, I mean, um, for Bitcoin, I think there isn't that much. I think there's a lot more interesting around ETH, but we'll get to that. As for BTC, I mean, price hasn't done fuck all. I think volume profile can be useful here, even though it's not the usual flavor I would have on my chart. But you know, I think you mentioned 100K. I think that's like if we see 100, I think we just fucking shit the bed to 95, which isn't like it's a 4% move. It's not like oh,
Yeah.
big cascade, but I think like to me personally, 93K is the nicest level. It's
Yeah,
been
it's
there's
like the thing with, sorry, just quickly, the thing with like the how even the profile and like you have just general support and all these like lows, so it's like a general area where uh you don't like if you just want to buy this blindly, you probably need a little bit of a room to give it because like it's one of these places where it's like the likelihood of just this cascading is basically a little bit higher, so like you can just scale into these trades or layer it or just wait for like some sort of like confirmation or stuff like that. Depends how you trade, but yeah, definitely. I think if we would end up going there, it can, you can get these like a bigger wick events, which we didn't have for quite a while, to be fair, and I think it would be pretty healthy.
Yeah, there's a few things that I would love to for BTC also mention. The usual. So Sailor hasn't been buying much, which is not surprising to me. The NAV premium is small. He's not doing any ATM sales. ETFs have been buying a little bit, but we had a few. It's just like a bit of nothing burger. ETF flows are much more interesting with ETH again. One thing I would love to again resurface that we always do is TradFi. I'm not sure if you've been watching, but TradFi has been basically outperforming Bitcoin. That's my entire shtick, and we are like 2% away from new all-time highs, which is the same
Yeah.
is true for Bitcoin, obviously. But yeah,
Yeah, that's true. Like the S&P, definitely some of the Max 7 stocks. I think there's this like a AI race now, basically, between Microsoft, Meta, and some other things. Google has been kind of down because of that as well. So I think that there's like quite a bit of narrative now, in stocks, and yeah, like S&P has been basically up only in these last couple of days, holding quite well. So we definitely get this kind of a flip side, which is quite interesting because like Bitcoin wasn't doing that bad when basically the whole kind of stock market shit the bed. Uh, which usually you would expect this kind of dynamic when basically you have like correlated assets and one goes down a lot and the other one is just kind of holding, showing this kind of a relative strength. Like what the thing that you would expect is that when this is going to flip and the one asset that was shitting the bed is going to rally again, the second one is basically just going to moon or like move very very quick. It's not exactly what happened, although obviously like BTC like made all-time high when the stock started to recover, but now we, I think for the first time since the bottom, we see this kind of a change in dynamic where the S&P has been holding quite well and even pushing much higher, while the Bitcoin is struggling a little bit.
yeah, it's catching up, definitely catching up. I highly encourage. I show this every week, and people cringe at it, but I think it's some of the best. Like I think having this chart in your trading view, if you use trading view, is much more beneficial than sitting on crypto Twitter and doom scrolling for entertainment accounts like RunnerXBT and Abetrade um, or Abetrade. How do you pronounce it? Abetrade. But yeah, this says a lot of context. So yeah, again, Sailor dead, not dead literally, but not buying much. Metaplanet actually bought more than Sailor, which is hilarious. So we had a MicroStrategy Japanese copycat buying more Bitcoin than Sailor himself. ETFs, meh. I think a lot of the strength is carried through series of good headlines from Bitcoin Las Vegas, TradFi being strong, and also just today, I'm not sure if you've seen the JP Morgan headline.
Yeah, they will accept the. Yeah, I saw that. Saw that.
So I think that's pretty sick. The headline is, for those who didn't see, I'm scrolling on my. It's kind of hard managing multiple devices, but Eleanor posted about it. But the whole premise is that you can use your Bitcoin spot ETF as collateral to get loan. Yeah, my computer, I cannot find it.
Yeah, yeah. That's definitely that's also something which is quite good. No, I mean,
But
like
it's
I said,
also
I
more
think
leverage, right? Like, remember the whole.
yeah.
I'm not gonna go full Michael Burry, but using your real estate as collateral for shitty loans and whatnot. It's
No, I mean, yeah, like BTC, we clearly saw it. This year, it's been doing very well. Especially, showing. I think for me, a lot of kind of a conviction, and why I also didn't completely, classic European close the trade too early when I was long was seeing this kind of a quote unquote new narrative where Bitcoin was acting quite well as a not a hedge, but like a doing this whole kind of trade war stuff and everything. Like people were like, it was very clear that Bitcoin was kind of holding up there. But yeah, for me, like I said, at the same time, I'm pretty bullish, but I wouldn't definitely mind a little bit of a volatility event to the downside, and then you often see these during when the times are in this kind of a peak bullishness, and you get all these like good news and everything, and then market just kind of slows down and shakes out a lot of late longs. So yeah.
yeah. I'm trying. I was actually looking at the calendar. That's why I have it here. You know, the usual macro LARPing. But this week we have NFPs on Friday, which tends to be volatile. I'm not gonna be sitting here saying, oh, if it's hot, it's gonna spill over to bonds market. I've seen some analysis like that today, and I just wondered. I hope this person finds peace over the summer. CPI next week and FOMC the following. So maybe we'll have some vol, but this has been pretty. I think trading Bitcoin last few days been pretty a bit of waste of time. I think there's been a lot
Yeah.
better setups, and even which is I have to wash my mouth right now. 1 second, in my eyes. Ethereum, it's a full 180. RunnerXBT is about to make a local top for ETH. But I think we can slowly move on to ETH. What do you think? Bitcoin's just
Yeah,
nothing
yeah, but
happening.
definitely, there's this whole kind of narrative around it. I think like you will have much more information than me, so I'll just let you go through that.
I mean, ETH, you definitely start.
No, like if you look, like obviously we had a little bit of this kind of correction in Bitcoin, last week. Like Solana got hurt pretty bad. Um, while ETH basically didn't really do anything. It went down a little bit, but it's basically all the way back up. It like fully retraced if you look at both BTC Sol and ETH. Like if you have this kind of a Thursday, I believe was the day when we had a decent amount of sell-off. Bitcoin is kind of like around there, a little bit under. Solana is like much lower, and ETH is actually all the way back up. And we are kind of forming this, whatever consolidation, kind of trying to creep up higher. Like you can throw a fucking triangle or wedge or whatever. So there is a pretty clear relative strength in ETH right now. For me, like a setup wise and all of this, I think it's very simple. I actually got a little bit of the exposure when we had that like middle of May, when we had that kind of a daily candle, like it was like Sunday 18th, I think, from look at the things when we tried to basically break down and came back up. I was hoping that this is going to send immediately, but it's just kind of creeping around. I think there's like a 200-day moving average or something, and like general resistance area here. But yeah, like ETH is not looking bad at all.
And now the question is, what now? Because every time it looked good in past almost 3 years, it's been
Yeah, yeah. No, like I think we spoke about this on the last stream that like like I'm just like this is for me like I'm just going to I'm willing to once again give it as a shot. If this is not going to work out, it's cursed forever. So far it's been doing not much in the last 2 weeks. It's been just going up and down. I'm giving this a little bit of a room. I think for in general, like when I trade altcoins and ETH, we could see that with some of these, like we hit that minus 30% daily candle a couple weeks ago, or in February, so a couple months ago. Like things can get a
it's
little
the
bit
Trump
insane.
tweet, Eric
Yeah,
Trump.
yeah,
It's a
yeah.
good time to buy
So
ETH.
yeah, so I am like I like to give things more room when it comes to altcoins overall. So I'm just kind of sitting in this, hoping that it's going to break to the upside. Um, I don't know. Like I still haven't. This might be this kind of a PTSD, but like in my head, like if BTC now was at 105K, like if we would really have a correction towards the 100, 95, let's say from here, do I think that ETH is just going to completely hold this and even push above 2.7K? I don't know. Like I said, I'm giving things a little bit more room. I think I would start puking this position somewhere underneath like 2,200. So that's quite a room at this point. I got around like 200, 2,450s or something. So yeah, definitely, it's and I think you will have a little bit more to say about that. But like it might be a time for ETH at least for a while. So I'm just willing to take a risk, but I'm like fully ready to get completely disappointed.
So I wanna disclaimer. I have the biggest exposure to Ethereum I've had since ever, like in crypto. So there is a lot of
Long
bias, which is
to ETH.
I bought 0.1 ETH. No, I think ETH has a lot of good reasons, or why I think it's been strong and the narrative wise. So from the stupidest to the most, I think, constructive. The most stupidest, or which is not English, but Ethereum ETF staking is coming later this year. That's one. Second, we've had some of the strongest Ethereum ETF inflows probably ever. I cannot do quick maths. I can look it up
Yeah,
one
yeah.
second.
I was looking at that over the weekend as well. It's like that first, like it's similar in my opinion. It's like that first moment when Bitcoin actually started to, and for BTC obviously it was like much quicker. Like the BTC inflows started to come pretty early, I think, after ETF launch. For ETH, it took a little while because it's just general piece of shit. But now I think it's like that kind of a moment for the ETF itself, which could be definitely a good catalyst.
I mean, the books are, you know it yourself, right? They're much thinner. Basically, in simple words, takes much less money to move it. So even a 100 plus 110 day is it's a lot. Like that's a pretty damn good day. And we've had so yeah, a lot of ETF buying to simplify it. Also, few other things. The Pectra upgrade, which I've even tried it myself now. Less clicks. It's like a bit less shitty. I still prefer Rabbit Wallet over MetaMask. It's completely unrelated, but also interesting announcement. As much as I can hate on it, it just Ethereum Foundation is clearly paying attention to all the absolute fucking shitstorm they've been getting. I might have contributed to the shitstorm one way or another in past 15 months of non-stop fighting ETH, but they announced something called Protocol. I'm not sure if you've seen it. Are you familiar with Ethereum Protocol, Adam?
Not really. Give me a.
So it's the TLDR is basically they said, hey, we hear you, we listen, what the fuck are we doing with all the research and all the stuff that everybody, including like people like Kobe, were criticizing publicly. So they're like laying out, basically saying we're gonna let go a bunch of people in research and like all the, in my opinion, bullshit, and just basically saying we're gonna scale L1, scale L2, improve UX. So it does seem, that they're like trying, which is very refreshing. I never expected them to. That I think for sure, sentimentally, at least for me, even as like a big fucking hater. So that's good. They're creating like separate teams, separate like smaller, more achievable tasks. So that's one thing. And other thing is, it would be our thing, our kind of transition into the not yet, but later in the stream, but into the Pump.fun token and the whole like fatigue with Solana ecosystem a little bit. Not fatigue, but people. You've seen Pump.fun wants to do a token, right?
Yeah.
So if they do it, I've seen basically the consensus narrative being, hey, that's end of Solana Memecoin trenches. Where does the capital rotate next? And I think Vitalik and Ethereum Foundation has a massive opportunity to capture it. And it's up to them. It doesn't matter what this European Bertard has to say.
Yeah.
But they could cook, as Zoomers would say.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, like it definitely, like ETH at the end of the day, like there is still a lot of, eyes on it because obviously it's just the second biggest market. It's very involved at this point. You have ETFs, you have liquid options, which is also something that's only maybe Solana has to a certain
Did we
point,
just
but
local top ETH again?
but yeah, it would definitely make sense. I'm a little bit not sure if like and I think we can talk about the Pump.fun token now situation. Like if the like I think that people are still going to be kind of in trenches and gambling, and I also think that uh like I'm not sure if people would go do that on ETH necessarily. Like, and you have like all these kind of I think like ETH is more like aimed towards like actual like DeFi and stuff around that, which is a little bit of a different kind of a market participants than your kind of a trench warriors basically. So I'm not sure about that, but we can clearly see the kind of if you look at like Solid
Yeah.
chart, there is a very very clear outperformance there. So which at the end of the day, I feel like it's the only thing that matters. So like I said, and like you said, there's a lot of going on for ETH. I'm just kind of skeptical, or like my little worry here now is that if Bitcoin is going to have this like a more downside correction, if ETH can really hold on its own, uh, rather than just maybe making like a deeper correction towards like 2K and then rallying from there, for example, which I think could also uh, wouldn't change probably the whole kind of like a bullishness of it. Like if price would correct from here to 2K and then go to the upside, it's also a possibility. But as we are kind of consolidating, going sideways for almost a month now. All the kind of a downside pressure that came to Bitcoin, to other coins as well, has been not affecting ETH as well, like completely at all. Basically, I think it's looking pretty good still.
So, Pump.fun token, what do you make of it? At all, like, because
I
they're trying to raise $1 billion at 4 billion
Yeah.
FDV, which is, to put it in perspective, more than a lot of layer ones have done. And
Well,
I'm
I
not
think
saying
it's like a
Pump.fun is not comparable to some exquisite technology like Sui,
Mhm.
but any thoughts on, like, is it good for
Well,
the
I'm
ecosystem? Bad? Where does the money flow? Presumably, there's going to be a lot of airdrop for Pump.fun traders and creators.
Yeah,
Um,
no, I mean, I think like the valuation I was looking at it, I don't think it's unreasonable to be fair. Uh it's just like it's like you can compare this to like layer ones, but like who is realistically using these layer ones at the end of the day? This at least has like a user base. Uh and yeah, it's like a a casino, you know, I would say that like Pump.fun, it's much closer to stuff like Rollbit or basically like anything gambling related type of situation. And then I know that they've been kind of going into streaming now, so there is this like a social
Shout out Gamefly.
fi yeah, this like a social fi gambling type of thing, which at the end of the day, and obviously like some people will hate it or not, like this always has been like the biggest use case for crypto. Like people are gambling and just want to make money. Uh, like even though we are not really that active on-chain participants for the most part, like at the end of the day, like we both try to make money. Like I don't really care if like Vitalik is going to what he's going to end up doing with the tech and what upgrades are going to get released. Like as long as like price goes up, which is my main life motivation. But
Good death.
so yeah, I mean, people obviously, I saw a lot of people having opinions on the pump token and all of these things. But at the end of the day, this is still, I think, and it should be your kind of main motivation to make money. People
So is that
obviously do
towards
it
traders
different.
or builders too? Like, are you speaking to Alan right now? Like, hey dude, you have to max extract.
I mean, like obviously, I think the only and like a biggest issue, obviously, with this is that there is this kind of like a non-zero sum game, which like I always kind of liked on trading, and obviously, like if I'm going to be trading Bitcoin and if I'm going to be trading some boomer markets or ETH even, like there is like very small chance I'm going to get uh or like there's like a small chance someone is going to get a better information than me. Obviously, there are some of these cases like Trump tweeting the BTC reserve and all of these mess we had a couple of months ago. But and obviously this was kind of I'm pretty sure a bunch of insiders made a lot of money on that. But from like a day-to-day point of view, I think it's pretty much a fair game. That's not something you can obviously say about a lot of this on-chain stuff, which is kind of like issue I have with it personally. But at the end of the day, if people want to gamble, then let's they should be able to.
I think it's gonna be a real test to the because let's just call it how it is. Solana trenches have been extremely fun. I mean, busy for the people trading there since like I want to say October all the way to Trump coin. I mean launch, which was early January. Then they have been just factually. If you look at DeFi Llama, I've spent a bunch of time doing that. The revenues, the fees, the volumes, everything has gone down, right? And I think this will be like a real interesting stress test. How does it look? Like how quickly does it die, if ever? I mean, die the price action of the token, right? Because launching at $4 billion FDV, if I'm getting a listing on Hyperliquid or Binance, Bybit, whoever listed first, I'm going full stack, shorting Pump token because first, I don't think they need one. And obviously, mind you, I'll see what the fuck are the use case of it. Meaning, if it's a rev share token, like like a casino flywheel Ponzi, I'm not shorting it. But yeah, I think that will be again a very interesting stress test for stage
Yeah.
of the market. Because have you seen the Laudio thing? I gotta ask you, probably gonna cringe with that for.
Yeah, I think I saw some people tweeting about some like leaderboard again or something along these
Yeah.
lines. No, or yeah, yeah.
So why I'm mentioning Laudio is I had very low expectations, but it basically died in like a day, which and it
And
at peak.
what was that?
So
Sorry.
TLDR is a friends of Kaito team spin up a new project experiment which was called Laudio. You tweet the usual social fi bullshit. You tweet mention Laudio or let's say interact with the dev of Laudio. You would spam shit like haha I'm gay Laudio, and the AI mechanism would say okay that's a mind share, and if you get it to 1,000 leaderboard, meaning top 1,000 yappers if you will, you could participate in 0.2 sol pre-sale, and you basically next morning you sold it for $3,000. That's it. So for an account like yours or mine, it would have been 2 minutes of your time to make $3,000. Not too shabby. That's it. But the whole thing is, if you're top 100 on the leaderboard, or top 50, or top 25, like very high up, you need to really fucking try. You get percentage of the trading fees, right? So the whole idea is that everybody needs to talk about it to get your followers to buy it, trade it, and through the trading fees you get rev share. But it does not make sense if nobody's trading it, right? Like if the volume is $500,000 a day, you make no fees, down only, and that's I can actually then show it in BonkBot, in the web terminal, because I actually did day trade it with like 0.1 sol just to like play around with on-chain, apart from obviously selling my allocation from the experiment. But why I mentioned all this fucking TED talk is it to me indicates that trenches are pretty poor right now. Like if the maximum they can do is $15 million market cap, and they got all the followers in the day. Like does it even exist still? Did they delete their Twitter? I mean, that would be hilarious. They might have deleted their Twitter. That is fucking okay. But my point was they got to like 100,000 followers in a day, or sorry, in like 3 days, meaning they captured the attention really well. I think on that front the experiment worked really well. But yeah, right now it's like a $2 million market cap from 15. But yeah, the whole TLDR here, so we can move on. Sorry for the stretch. It's just I think trenches are pretty dead, and I don't have high expectations for Pump.fun token. And
I think like the whole, I don't know, like I'm pretty skeptical like to this whole like SocialFi thing. Like there has been a bunch of these in the past, and I think like you have always like when it comes to on-chain stuff, like the biggest kind of winners and runners are basically those kind of like a big narrative memes. Like I think there is like you said, the volume dropped quite a bit, but you have these like most insane moves when there is like this overall narrative, which was obviously AI coins and meme coins last year especially. So I think that unless something which is like as kind of simple as this, because like all these like connect your Twitter to this thing and tweet, like that's like I don't know, like too many steps, even for like when you really want to have this like a thing which goes to like 500 mil or 1 billion market cap. It has to be something which is like so stupid and so simple, or just like catching this overall narrative that is happening, like for example with AI, basically until people realized all these AI crypto coins are basically just completely useless, and just annoying reply bots, but yeah, for that brief period of time, it's such a big narrative that it can run quite well. I see someone asking about hype. I think we can quickly go through that. Fartcoin, it was also interesting.
Yeah, it actually nuked 20% on the launch yesterday.
I think it's pretty funny to see how it started to sell off even more aggressively before. I think that there's been once again this little bit of a asymmetry of information with the pump, because I think Fartcoin, what was kind of the main thing there was that it was kind of the meme coin of the season type of situation, which probably a lot of people think now it's going to get overtaken by Pump.
So you think like the thing here is like attention, like you want to be the number one attention coin?
I mean, like, yeah, like I think the reason Fartcoin rallied, and someone can correct me if I'm completely out of my thinking here, that basically it was kind of chosen to be this kind of a meme coin of choice. Like we obviously, back in a few years ago there was Doge, then we had Pepe for a bit, and then some of these others, basically dot coins. And then I feel like Filecoin really became at least this year, and like to basically in the Q2 after bottom in March, it basically became this like a like this is the main meme coin now, which
Mm-hmm.
you know should be the play. But with launch of when this pump token is supposed to launch.
I don't think we have like I'm not insider enough to know.
Okay,
Like
yeah.
not
So I
public
think that there's
information.
like people. I think a lot of people will just see this as like this like a main, like basically a main on-chain play. Like if you want to get like because like you could say that like if I want to get although obviously like Fartcoin for example is traded on all centralized exchanges at this point, but still like if there should be if there is one token which will give me like on-chain exposure, I think Fartcoin was pretty reasonable bet, in the last couple of months. Now I can see a lot of people thinking that, if I want to get basically a kind of a proxy to all of this on-chain stuff, Pump token might be a good
Mm.
play. So I think this is a reason why Fartcoin went down and people are kind of selling it.
Because
Obviously,
it's actually
we're
interesting.
also front running the news.
Actually interesting because other like cult meme coins are doing well today, for example, or in general, like SPX 6900 is up only. So
Yeah,
it's interesting because I agree with you on the attention rotation, but also actually meme. The Murat might make it actually.
I saw screenshot from his TikTok profile. That's and some of these videos is like insane. But yeah, that's funny, and it's like over a billion market cap now, right? So
I
it's
gotta check. But hey, I think we
um,
have to, even as not necessarily on chain guys, you have to respect the consistency with the autism. Like
dude,
this
I
guy is
never
insane.
I never worked for anything in my life as hard as he is working for his bags. So I guess I kind of respect that, but it's insane. The yeah, someone shared the fucking his profile on TikTok, and it's just like these videos with him yelling. Yeah,
Well,
it's so
he's yelling in
funny.
the videos now.
Yeah, like you don't you. The
No, no,
only
I'm
way
not
to
gonna
get
watch
rich
because I'm
in this
already on
world
the
is
edge
by
with the 9 millimeter in my
disappearance.
drawer. But
Yeah, and obviously hype
mm-hmm.
is also doing very well. That's I think kind of good to see. In my opinion,
Yes.
obviously I'm not one of the people who got airdropped 45 figures in hype tokens, so I'm pretty unbiased here. But with all the kind of like my point of view on this is like with all the regulatory stuff and everything, and although now it's getting like we might be seeing perhaps in the US soon, but you still have a bunch of stuff in the EU when it's actually very few countries these days you can actually even trade perps. I think overall I'm pretty happy to see Hyperliquid doing well. All this kind of like transparent order book, which we could have seen in the Win
Yeah, I
guy
have him here
episode.
actually. This
Yeah,
fucking
yeah,
retard.
it's pretty insane, but yeah, having basically an exchange like this and getting this kind of market share where everything is kind of very transparent, it's on chain, so it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
filling the purpose of all of this stuff. At the end of the day, it's pretty cool to see. I think this is a good kind of bet. Like I said, I'm not that exposed because I didn't get uh, generational wealth airdropped, and I'm going to be quite fair. I didn't really traded it that much so far. So, but it's definitely one of the things that it would make sense,
Yeah, I think it's the
and it
best
would be
altcoin, centralized exchange
yeah,
altcoin.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
a few things to mention. They got the Binance listing, finally. Coinbase, Kraken,
yeah,
like every single exchange has basically listed them in or listing them in like span of last 14 days. Which is not bullish or bearish. It's just information before somebody calls me a European again. I think Binance is very relevant for for a big coin like this. I think it will help a lot, basically, if you can buy spot hype on Binance if you're a hype holder. That's all.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Laudio,
It's
somebody. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
no, no. I mean, just yeah. I just wanted to point out, like, it's trading at all-time high. I wouldn't buy it here, but if we would get any kind of pullback once again, I think it's one of the, like, it's what there is very few coins, altcoins which I would like hold spot of. I think hype is one of them, which kind of makes sense for me to have
Yeah,
like a little bit of a longer term exposure rather than just
agreed.
completely gambling on both long and short sides. Yeah.
Yeah, very last thing on Laudio before I turn it on. Thanks, Lil Frog in Telegram chat sent me their account. I have them muted, so maybe that's why I couldn't find it. But 115,000 followers in a few days, which and 58 neutrals follow them, and I'm very picky with who I follow. So yeah, I mean, pretty. I think. Yeah, I mean, not many projects can say that 115k.
Okay.
What
Okay.
else? I mean,
Okay.
we covered
So
Bitcoin, ETH. Also, I just want to mention ETH. One last thing before maybe we can move on to the web terminal is ETH is now an XRP2 and Solana 2. In Solana, it's called UPEXI. In Ethereum, it's called SBET. And in XRP, it's called, I think, Vedus, whatever. It's a Chinese company. I'm not interested. But you have these MicroStrategy copycats, or like these companies doing treasury thingy with
yeah.
the asset, which I think could be helping ETH, because there's this company that Consensus actually is like co-leading with Joe Lubin, which is one of the co-founders of Ethereum. So you have basically co-founder of Ethereum launching Ethereum copycat of MicroStrategy, but for ETH.
Yeah. No, I mean, like I said, and we can kind of move on. But I think for like ETH, because obviously Bitcoin back in beginning of 24 had this big rally basically after the ETF launch, and it basically got this kind of almost immediate success. Led to move basically from like 60K to all-time high, almost 50%. Uh, ETH never really got that. We obviously memed this enough over the span of last year and a half that how much of a failure it was. Overall, like we had kind of a failure in ETFs. Also, I think streaming futures and all of these things are not getting that were not getting that much traction. But now we start to see ETF flows coming in. All these companies also buying ETH. I don't want to be this kind of a person that's like I will just going to be super bearish on and say this is all useless just for sake of like it's ETH, it's whatever, right? So yeah, that can be very costly mistake if you are unable to kind of adapt to this. So yeah, I'm kind of hoping that ETH is going to, and especially if you like push from this consolidation that we are here now, I think there is a should be pretty quick move above 3K. But also at the same time, ever since we started streaming, the ETH is basically down only, so kind of a classic.
Yeah, but one thing that historically used to be true, and I know we cannot extrapolate past, like expect future based on what used to happen, but generally speaking, what would happen, I'm gonna quickly draw it on Bitcoin higher time frame. In the past, you would have Bitcoin make all-time high, then a nuke, or like have a big correction, go sideways, and ETH would dump a lot less during the meantime, and then just send it right on its own. So
Yeah.
uh,
No, and there is, like we spoke about this, that kind of a pyramid meme type
yeah,
of thing, like when it doesn't make, like it's different now because obviously you have these like institutions and ETF flows and all of these things, right? Like why would people would actually move to from Bitcoin to whatever? But like ETH, if it's going to get obviously like the best narrative is always price and movement. So like if you have all these boomer people and like if you would assume that all of this Bitcoin rally was mostly caused by institutions and ETFs and all of these things, like if these people are going to see that there are big flows into the ETF of ETH, that is getting liquid, that is getting traction, then I think that kind of flow which originally came to Bitcoin can very easily spill into the Ethereum, and then obviously we have ETFs for I think Solana and XRP still coming, right?
Yeah, but that's like in 4 or 5 months from now, which I
Yeah,
know isn't that much in real world, but it's pretty long time in crypto. Okay,
yeah,
let's
yeah. No,
let's
definitely.
let's quickly go over the web terminal. I'm just gonna filter one thing. Good. So here we are. Our sponsors, BonkBot. It used to be a Telegram bot, which everybody's familiar with. They're launching. This is not accessible to public yet, but with the link in the description and whatnot, wherever we post it, you should get like a 1 week head start when it's live. It's gonna be it is a trading terminal, like a web interface. Uh, it's very different. You have a bunch of stuff. Like X-Rate is this, in my opinion, kind of schizophrenic, but very fun and fast page where you have new creations about to graduate and graduated. You can do, ape instantly, quick buy. What is some of the things I personally like? There's a lot of features we'll slowly be covering over the streams, over this every week as we stream. But in the settings, you can do a 2FA, which from my understanding is something other competitor platforms do not offer. You can set up all the presets you want for the quick buy. So as of right now, it's 0.01 Sol, but all customizable. And you also have, I believe, in here, yes, you have also sorts of different presets that you might be familiar with and whatnot. Let me check. What I do like is my massive wallet right here with the wallet in my portfolio, but I don't want to even show my closed positions. Yeah, I will, but it's hilarious how I tried to snipe some of the launches and I lost money every single time. I provided liquidity, but what I think is pretty cool. Where was the portfolio here? Does it not show the? Fuck, I'm struggling right now to find it. It's fine, but you have like a pie chart, which reminds me of like centralized exchange. So my whole, I guess, biggest takeaway from the web terminal is that they're really pushing to make the Memecoin trading to be as similar as possible to centralized exchange trading, and that's why I think we both liked it because let's just be honest, like for me, trading on Telegram bot is very unusual. Like imagine typing in, long 200 grand of BTC, but with this, it's
No,
obviously
yeah,
much easier. So
yeah.
let's look at
I
something.
mean, there is like a lot of very interesting stuff coming into this. Um the lot of things that I do, for example, is like looking at different just like indicators and metrics and stuff like that, which one of the reasons why I never really traded much on chain is because it's like very hectic. Obviously, you have these like I don't even know how many coins basically are launched every day. Um, but it's quite a lot of this. It's very often time is this the dev is going to dump it within a few seconds. But like there's a lot of things that should be coming into the Bongbot, which will basically help you out filter a lot of these things. And for me, like I said, my very kind of a sweet spot when I traded these things in the last year, especially, was not really trying to going for these like lowest possible coins that will rally from like couple thousand market cap to basically sniping these like new launches, but rather than looking into things that has been live for a while, are meeting bunch of different kind of metrics that you are basically going to be all able to preset in the Bongbot in the future as well, and just kind of filter out. Obviously, you are probably never going to be able to filter things out 100%, but this is going to be very helpful tool to kind of make sure that the chances of that you are getting dumped on within the second you're going to buy it are going to be much smaller than
Yeah,
usual,
some of the
without going through this, because I think there is there is definitely an edge in this
yes.
when it comes to like stuff like wallet tracking and seeing where the funds are coming from, and like people obviously like make fun of this, and I think there's like a lot of work you can do around, like if you actually want to build like a system that's going to be basically filtering out your kind of chances and increasing the probability. And like I said, a lot of this is coming into the knowing how to navigate on chain and looking at all these different addresses and what the behavior was before and all of that, which is, I'm going to be very honest, I'm too lazy to do that manually. But yeah, from the stuff that we saw that has Bongbot has coming in the future, you are going to be able to do a lot of this stuff much easier than copy pasting addresses and going through a lot of the stuff yourself,
Because there's
which
actually,
is pretty cool.
I do know a bunch. We both know lots of meme coin traders, on chain guys. It's usually the people who actually make 8 figures in a year, unlike us, level to level meme 80. But some of the usual feedback you hear is like, where did the is the dev funded from where? It's you can see it instantly. It's Coinbase in this instance. How much the top 10 holders have. It's look, we've obviously have our takes on it, but we have to stay open-minded. I will be trading Pumpcoin, like for a fact, especially if it launches at 4 billion FDV and I see some fuckery. But yeah, some of the features we should mention is definitely wallet tracker. People are literally tracking this fucking James Wynn retard on Hyperliquid. It's quite literally the same thing as having a wallet tracker here. It could be actually, let me try if this guy is actually on, if we could also see invalid wallet. I have my
Yeah,
bad. But like the idea is you
he's
can track people. You might want
he's
to.
shilling like some of like
Yeah,
his
exactly. That's why
coin.
I wanted to
Yeah,
add. That's why I wanted to see if I can. I just want to be careful that I don't dox. It's actually obviously not gonna work. It's not a sole
this is
address,
like a
dumbass.
yeah.
I'm trying to input it.
Yeah,
I just like what.
yeah, yeah.
Dude,
Um,
it's kind of
no,
scary how easy it is to ape some of these tokens. Like, I just bought
yeah.
some Doctor Crypto, which is not gonna do.
Sure, this is like a,
I'm already down
uh,
1%. 1 second.
yeah. You can always save it by just tweeting the contract address and, you know,
To dump on somebody.
yeah.
Wait. Am I? Fuck, it's not open yet, but I think I'm in a little bit of profit. I mean, no, not. But look, the TLDR here is meme coin trading is, I think, on the direction to become very compared to centralized exchange trading, which is very compelling to me personally. Obviously, it probably has a bunch of time to go, but I think it would be very stupid of me and Adam to be like, oh, it's so stupid. Like maybe not something we'll necessarily do, because even if you look at, like, we have these people we're tracking, they're trading like, hundreds of dollars. If there's trades that you can ape like 5 figures, I think that can be really, really interesting. But I
Yeah,
understand you cannot buy 10K worth of token that has $5,000 market
yeah,
cap.
that's kind of why I was, like I said last year, was kind of waiting for these things that had a little bit of a market cap. But yeah, no, like I'm definitely, and I mentioned this a couple times in the past as well. Like I am more happy and like feel better trading meme coins than trading, this kind of a layer two, which is similar to 35 different layer twos as well, which was, has this like VC uh, overhead dumping, coming and unlocks and everything. I think that's like, as equal as kind of a can be as bad as trading something like this. Obviously, like I said, for me, when it comes to on-chain stuff, it has been always this kind of struggle to being able to basically filter out
Yeah.
a bunch of different things, which will, hopefully going to turn probabilities a little bit on my side, because also I think a lot of what people do is basically just this kind of a 5%, 1% win rate strategy where you basically just
Yeah.
buy a bunch of different stuff. Everything is going to rack, but then you're going to have this one,
Yeah.
100,000 to 10,000 X winner basically, which will pay for everything. That's not really something that I uh, do want to do in this stage of my old life, but yeah, looking for something which is like a mid cap, meeting bunch of different filters. I'm more than happy to trade stuff like that. And like I said, it's pretty cool that guys from BonkBot, we spoke with them. They agree with a lot of these things, and they are building around to be able to have features that will be basically providing that, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, last thing for me, just bunch of filters, which as of right now for me and Adam might not be like actionable, but people trading these I think can make a lot of good decisions based on again fuck ton of filters to available to filter through. Because if you just look at all the coins launching from Pump.fun, you're literally better off just going to casino, I think, and just throwing all in on red or whatever. I've never been to real casino myself, but with the filters and some sort of strategies working together, I think it's very feasible. And I know you
Yeah,
need to bounce, so let's wrap it up.
yeah,
Um,
we're gonna wrap it up here. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed. I think we covered a bunch of things today. Spoke about not only BTC but a bunch of different stuff, and with that being said, if you are going to use the link which I posted in both of the YouTube and Twitter chats, you are going to end up on a waitlist
Adam is
for
going to
the
visit you.
yeah, I'm going to visit you in your dreams, and you are also going to get an early access to the when the BonkBot terminal is going to launch. You are going to also get a cashback on the fees that you are going to trade there. So yeah, thank you guys for tuning in, and we will catch you sometimes in the future. Who knows? Maybe
Yes,
this was the last stream.
have a